Colin Cowherd and people have been putting rumors out there that Matthew Stafford could potentially get traded to the New York Giants. There's smoke around this rumor. Apparently, another rumor, the Giants and the Rams were close to sending, Matthew Stafford to the Giants, but the Rams pulled out last minute. I don't know how true that is, just something that's, been swirling around. The Giants hired Matthew Stafford's brother-in-law to be their assistant quarterbacks coach. So this could have some legs too. But I think Steelers would be the best landing spot for him. The Giants is also another landing spot that I could see. But it's just, how do they get that deal done? You can't give the 3rd overall pick to the Rams. That would be ludicrous. Matthew Stafford's really good, damn good. But that's setting your team back, honestly. Brian Daboll and the Giants GM, their jobs are on the line. They can't afford to not get quarterback right, and they're trying to compete for a championship. Daboll took the Giants to the playoffs with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones kind of flamed out. He's not a good quarterback, not a good player. We've seen it. His success was not sustainable. Bringing Matthew Stafford in to this Giants team, he's an elite quarterback. A top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Top 8, I said. In another video. And in the NFC, you win the offseason, things go your way, you make the right roster moves, you make the right changes, you could end up in the playoffs. The Commanders, it was a 360 switch in one season. They got the right quarterback and everything else made sense. So I trust in Daboll. I think he's a really good coach. What he did with Daniel Jones, that showed me he was a good coach. Great offensive mind. I think this roster is not far away either. They just need a good quarterback. I've seen players online, trying to recruit Matthew Stafford, trying to bring him to the Giants. Malik Neighbors and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford would make Malik Neighbors a top 3 receiver in the NFL next season. He's a superstar in the making, and just getting him an elite passer, a guy that's going to push the ball downfield, a couple deep balls to Malik Neighbors, it will be exciting times in New York. Cooper Kupp is going to go wherever Matthew Stafford goes. You will get Cooper Kupp with the Giants. He's 32 years old, but this is somebody that put 114 yards, 14 catches in week 1 against the Detroit Lions. So when he's healthy, when he's getting targets, Matthew Stafford's always going to give him targets. When he's healthy, he's still a really good receiver in the league. Top 20 receiver in the league, I think. Top 20, 25. Obviously, with the injury history, track record, you're going to probably put some other names above him, but I still think he could put up a 1,000-yard season. I still think he has that in him. So you look at the receiver room for the Giants, Malik Neighbors, Cooper Kupp as your receiver 2, Wan'Dale Robinson as your receiver 3, who still had a pretty decent season, no scrub, but he shouldn't be your number 2 option. He put up 93 catches, 699 yards, receiving 3 touchdowns. Tyron Tracy could be a 1,000-yard running back. Had 839 yards rushing, still splitting carries with Devin Singletary this season. And Theo Johnson, still a pretty promising tight end, has some upside to him. And the Giants have a really good defense. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon, they still have some people up front. And they could bring back Aziz, sign him to a deal. They have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. Secondary is getting better too. Micah McFadden leading the charge at the linebacker position. They signed the linebacker from the Colts last free agency, who had a pretty decent season this year. So that defense could be a top defense in the NFL next season. And you get Matthew Stafford leading the charge on the offense with the improving offensive line. Things could look up for the Giants. The Giants could be back to competing, making the playoffs and having a shot to knock off a team like they did against the Minnesota Vikings, moving on to the divisional round. If you get an elite quarterback, it's all about having elite quarterbacks, and you won't have to worry about the Rams no more. The NFC East division will be hell, but Matthew Stafford is, him and Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, they're in conversation for the best quarterbacks in the NFC. So he's the third, at worst, third best quarterback in the NFC in that whole conference. So adding him to this Giants team, you're obviously going to improve. You're going to be better. I really like this landing spot for him, and staying in the NFC does make sense with, competing and having a shot to get to the Super Bowl, a better shot to get to the Super Bowl. In the AFC, it's kind of tough, but if you get on the right roster and you get on the right team with the right coach, with the right players in place, things could go your way. But I would have to see how the rest of the free agency look for the Giants, but I definitely think Stafford to the Giants, they could make some noise and be relevant again. And Stafford could be the savior of the New York Giants and the savior of New York that Rodgers was supposed to be for the Jets. I definitely think things could be interesting though with Stafford in New York. Cooper Kupp, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Malik Neighbors. I would want to see the season Malik Neighbors would have with Stafford. It would be crazy. Let me know down in the comments, do you think Stafford to the Giants is something that makes sense? Do you think that's a move that the Giants should do? Should they go all in? What should a package for Stafford look like? Would you even consider giving up the number 3 overall pick to the Rams? Let me know your thoughts down below. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.